You know I'm big on education, and there is something that has been driving me batty. It's the amount of misinformation about the NAR lawsuit. First, we need to remember that this is a national lawsuit. And now let's talk about what's really going on. The biggest change is that the buyer's agent compensation will no longer be recorded on the MLS. That does not mean the buyer's agent won't get paid. Commissions have always been negotiable. The Texas Realtors listing agreement has a spot for commissions due to the broker, and it also talks about when and how commissions are earned and payable. Then if you scroll down further, it says the broker will pay the other broker a fee as described below if the other broker procures a buyer that purchases the property. Scroll down even further, and in bold it states, broker's compensation or the sharing of compensation between brokers is not fixed, controlled, recommended, suggested, or maintained by the Association of Realtors, MLS, or other listing services. You know why? Because it's negotiable. Food for thought. When someone purchases a home, they have to have a down payment, which is usually a pretty hefty amount. They also may be required to set up an escrow or pay so much insurance up front, and all of this on top of loan and filing fees. A lot of buyers cannot afford to pay for their own representation out of pocket. Also, VA loan standards normally do not allow buyers to pay commissions, although at this time it is temporarily lifted. Every person deserves representation. Some may refuse to purchase a home if they can't get representation. All this to say, think about the amount of buyers you may be cutting out of your buyer pool by not allowing your agent to split their commission. Just something to consider. Second thing, a buyer's representation agreement will have to be signed before showing. I am guilty of not wanting to sign things up front, but this is for the buyer's own good. Here's why. Let's look at the information about broker services, which is already required to be given. This document states the minimum duties and types of representation. Let's look down here at subagent. It says, when aiding a buyer in a transaction without an agreement to represent the buyer, aka a buyer's representation agreement, the agent does not represent the buyer and must place the interest of the owner first. So without the buyer's representation agreement, the agent works for the seller and cannot guide you, advise you, or anything. But what if you just met this agent and you don't know if you want to work with them for long term? Good news. The buyer's rep form has a spot that the agent can put the specific house and the dates, so you're not bound to anything. In my opinion, Texas has some pretty good contracts. If you don't know, ask. A lot is changing, but really, not much is changing. I'm Allison Cornett with Full Circle, here to help you with all of your real estate needs.